Welcome to another episode of Real Estate AI Flash. I can't believe we're already in February, but we have an amazing guest today, Alesha Oppatt. She is the, as she would like to call it, broker in charge of Thrive Real Estate Brokers from Greenville, South Carolina, talking AI. So welcome, Alesha.
Welcome. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
Yeah. And when you and I were talking the other day and you were talking about all the things you were doing with AI, I thought it would be really great for the audience to kind of get to know you and share stuff you're working on. So let's begin with, give us your backstory. You've been in real estate for, I think, 12 plus years.
12 years.
You were in upstate New York. So tell for the audience your backstory and bring us to today.
All right. Well, it started, my real estate started 12 years ago. We were, in 2010, we moved down here from upstate New York. I was a stay-at-home mom at the time after our third. But I've always had that trying to get my own business going somehow. And I've tried things, nothing really caught on. So one day I brought to my husband, I need to get out of this house. That's all, I have I don't know a lot of people down here because we're new to the area. I mean, it's a whole new state for us, a whole new demographic really than New York.
Yeah.
So I said, I think I'm going to try real estate. So my husband's words to me were, okay, just as long as you make enough money to pay off your investment. So I'm like, yeah, real good support there. But, he's very, very supportive. Little did we know that this whole real estate thing was really going to change our lives and change the lives of our children and now grandchildren. So I really got the bug and ended up being really good at it. I started off at a big national brokerage, learned what I could there. And then I moved on to another national brokerage. A little bit more upscale, higher price points, all that stuff. Learned what I could there. Then I realized, it's not about the brokerage name. It's about me. People are coming back for me because they know me. So I went to a smaller, it's a franchise, but it's more like a boutique. And I went there, was there a couple of years, and I realized, I know that I can do this better. I can put everything that I've learned and gathered from the 3 different brokerages and make it better for my clients and make it better for other agents. I can take all that and have a great atmosphere and put that together. And it just happened to be around the same time that I was learning all this AI. So boy, that totally helped me spring forward with this brokerage.
Yeah, for sure. A great backstory. I know you've sort of, I think you're a great person for the guest for the podcast because you're sort of practiced real estate and now you're managing agents in a small niche brokerage and sort of looking at productivity enhancements and things of that nature that I'm sure we'll get into. So before we get into the specific things you're doing with AI, I'd love for you to kind of share, what was your first light bulb moment when you first used AI, whatever tool it was, ChatGPT or Gemini?
Yeah, well, ChatGPT is what I first started with and still my favorite today. My business partner who opened up the brokerage with me, Steph, she said, hey, have you heard of this new thing that can help you write your listing descriptions? And I'm like, really? I'm like, do that myself. I don't know if I need that. And she goes, yeah, try it out. And so I tried it out. I was not impressed at all. I wasn't impressed. And then I happened to be listening to Jimmy Burgess, who and because I read him in Inman, all that kind of stuff. And he had I don't know if you were the guest for this one, but he had a guest on at one point that said, you can make 3 different listing descriptions with 3 different points of view, one professional, one more friendly tone, all that. And then I'm like, oh, I can tell it to make it say different things. And once I realized that what I put into ChatGPT, I call her, I don't know why I call her, what I give her, she's going to spout out different things back to me. And that's when I realized, oh my goodness, I can do a lot more. And I just gradually got to the point where she knows me and how to talk like me, because now I put everything in there. Anything I write, I put in there, and I just have a nice, cleaned, polished version of me. She knows that I don't like the word boast. I hate the word boast in a listing description. Hate it. And she knows that, so she doesn't do it. She kind of scared me the other day, though, because she talked about me working at the post office, which I did 25 years ago. I'm like, did I mention that at one point? Because she
Probably
mentioned
did.
that. I'm like, what the heck?
Yeah, that's interesting. So that episode, I remember at the time me and Jimmy were like co-hosting the pod.
Yes.
And we built we'll include a link in the show notes because I still we have multiple, I call it custom GPTs that I have built in the GPT store. If you just search my name, you'll find them.
I've used them.
One of them is going into a listing appointment, listing appointments. So it kind of pulls out a 30-day marketing plan, the whole thing, multiple tones to your point. And then when you get the listing, the one you called out was listing descriptions, which is specific for tones, multiple tones, goes much deeper, understands fair housing. So you don't need to prime it as much because it knows its role. So I think for me, I mean, your point's well taken, Alesha, that for me, I think 2024, the biggest enhancement I've seen benefiting agents was custom GPTs.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes, everybody's, table stakes. Let me just write a poem, clean up my emails. Everybody's doing that. But I think once you get to your processes, just like your brokerage, I mean, there's certain things you want agents to do, you want to do. Over time, I think people will engage in custom GPTs, or I call it AI agents, that do a specific task well. I think that's the world that we're going to go into in 2025 for sure.
And I think with this paid version, because it knows me so well and it knows you and I can put the same information in and it's going to spit it back in a totally different tone.
100%.
Yours is going to sound like you. Mine's going to sound like me. And it's, I think we'll get maybe the same answers. It's just going to be a totally different tone in the way it's written, which I love because I have to do less tweaks to it now because I put so much in there.
Yeah. You mentioned the word boast. So one of the things I hate words wise is game changer and delve are like ChatGPT's favorite words. So what I've done is for those of you that are listening, if you don't know custom instructions, even in free or paid, under your settings, you can personalize it and you can basically tell ChatGPT, be short in your responses, never ever use delve or game changer.
Yeah,
in my custom instructions. You could add boast to that, to Alesha's point. But your point is, once you get the output, it doesn't sound like you and there's certain words it just gravitates to, so you can tell it to stop it, So
I've actually said, hey, look, you're sounding too much like AI. You need to sound more like me. Yeah. And it'll spit something back out.
For sure.
I've actually argued with her a little bit too.
What's that?
I've actually argued with her a little bit too, especially on pictures. I had, sometimes she doesn't listen to me when I'm telling her to create an image.
Yeah, I'll tell you, ChatGPT is good at a lot of things, but is not good at images. So DALL-E 3 has ways to go to create photorealistic images. I'll tell you, if you're listening and you've not downloaded the app for Grok, Grok, this is the
I haven't done that
XAI, which is your Twitter, a separate app for pure AI, which is Grok. Grok is the AI of Elon Musk X company. And I think it does a phenomenal job of pictures for someone that just wants to play with it at a free level. So Grok is what I would recommend for people to play with images. I created a burger image the other day with Grok in a restaurant.
I saw that.
You saw that?
What was the answer? Were they all AI?
All AI. Really? And what Alesha and I are talking about is, we'll put a link in the show notes. Because it's a new year, we started a new broadcast channel on Instagram called Real Estate AI Insiders, which is where I drop like specific tips to enhance your knowledge about AI. So I posted 4 pictures. All 4 were AI, but they were generated with 4 different AI tools. And one was DALL-E, which looked really AI. The burger looked AI. The other one was Meta, which that also looked AI. And the 2 on the right in the 4 graphic, when you join the channel, you'll get to see these pictures. The top one was Grok, which is, again, a free app for you to generate 4 images with a prompt. Okay, so start there. And when you get really wanting to do a lot of imagery, like if you're creative, if you're a marketing person, or you have an assistant that does a lot of imagery, I've gravitated to Midjourney, which is, in my mind, the best in the industry for image creation. And it starts with a subscription as low as $10 a month. So the 4th one was Midjourney, Alesha, in that that's AI thing. So
that's good.
Yeah. So Well, if
They looked fabulous. Those last ones looked great.
the right two are like very realistic if you zoom in. And that's what I created one yesterday. So if you know this, you'll know this, Alesha, but the audience might not. It struggles, or it used to struggle a lot with creating realistic people in images, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you can see that
Golly really does. I just used her
6 fingers or 4 fingers instead of 5. But I created one yesterday with photorealistic, show me a happy couple with a dog in a festive mood outside their home. I'll text this to you.
Yeah.
From afar, I couldn't tell that it was an AI picture with people. So the thing I would tell people is AI is getting faster at an exponential pace. This is the worst AI we'll ever use.
Yeah.
So the more you get comfortable with creation and spotting, hey, that's an AI, I don't want to use that. And one picture was you zoomed in and you could see the teeth were like all messed up, but the others were not. So you got it once you get comfortable. So I'll share that with you via an email.
Well, I like the pictures because you have to worry about, you can't just take any picture off the internet because that's somebody's intellectual property. Yeah. Whereas you create that stuff, I can have, I don't do my own marketing. I have a marketing director for that. But, I can say, hey, get these pictures from here and, create your own pictures. So that way we're not stealing anybody's work and we're not worrying about having to get photo credit or, they might want money for that picture if I put it on my marketing.
Or you get a notice from, what's that company, iStock or Getty Images, right?
I don't want to get a notice.
If you worked in the industry for a long time, you've seen Getty give notices to people because you've taken their images. But with AI, you're creating your own. And here's the best part, Alesha. I've tried this, so I know it's true. I've heard it also, which is if you give the same prompt, Midjourney or any of these, it's definitely true with Midjourney because I've tested it. Mm-hmm. You'll never get the same image ever with the same prompt.
Really?
Yeah, because it sort of takes pixels and kind of creates it every single time. So anyway.
So you won't get the same pitch. So if somebody else used that same prompt, they're not going to get a different picture. So that's great.
Yeah. All right. So let's dig into specifically areas that you're seeing benefit that agents listening to this pod can start with, and it kind of maybe a light bulb moment for them in AI.
Okay. Well, I first, what I used it a lot for is Steph and I, when we opened up the brokerage, we did a lot of research because you need to have an ICA agreement, independent contractor agreement. You need to have a policy and procedure manual. So you have to have all that stuff. So we started and we did some research and all that kind of stuff. This is before we got big into the AI. And then we kind of had our base of it. And then we were able to upload each section into ChatGPT and said, okay, this is what I want. Ask me questions one by one. I like it when it asks me questions one by one. I do not like when she asks me a ton at a time. So it helped us write the whole manual. Now, not only did this make this policy manual, it also thought of things we didn't think of to put in there. But because we have to make sure this is all legal, we had to send to our attorney to go over it. Well, it saved me a ton of money. Let's face it, attorneys are expensive, but I did not need him to write it from scratch. So he just had to make a few tweaks to it. And especially with all this NAR stuff going, I wanted to make sure all that was right. And I didn't get charged that much. Yeah. So that was a huge saver right there.
Yeah.
I have come to the realization though, that anytime that I want to do something and I don't know where to start, I put it in there first.
Yeah. And to your point, I think using, we talk a lot on the show about 4P and RISE, which is how do you kind of learn prompting? Mm-hmm. So the priming. So in that case, if you were talking, if you want ChatGPT to give you legal advice, you would say you are an experienced real estate attorney.
Exactly.
That's the role. So kind of start thinking about that. Now, to Alesha's point, this does not eliminate the need for lawyers.
Oh no, we still send it to the attorney.
It empowers you with more information to ask the right questions, all right, if needed, and also be able to reduce time because you created the manual with AI or review the contract, but also reduce cost in your case with legal advice, right? So great takeaway. And if you're a team leader, what Alesha talks about is so applicable because I talk to a lot of team leaders that need to create processes and procedures to grow their team. people struggle with scaling.
Yes.
And the reason you struggle with scaling is because you don't have systems in place that can allow you to scale.
And you have to have some systems in place. If you want to be a real estate professional, I mean, you can't really be, you can be a part-time agent, I guess. But if you want to do this and this is your career and this is what you want to do, you have to have these systems in place. And because I use ChatGPT like multiple times a day, it's my, that is my go-to. I'm able to streamline those things. For the agents for 2024, I updated my CRM, all that kind of stuff, and fished things out. That was also a great thing. I'm like, hey, I wonder if she can do spreadsheets for me. So I put this information in there and she did. It was awesome.
Yeah.
I was like, whoa, this is crazy. But it was definitely eye-opening and saved so much time.
Yeah, for sure. So one is like creating content, reviewing content. So it's like a baseline productivity enhancements you're seeing, obviously, not just for you and Stephanie as broker in charge, also for your agents. So let's talk a little bit about other areas you're seeing your agents or yourself benefit from embracing AI responsibly.
Well, as a brokerage, we like to make sure we're having enough information for them, enough tools for them to use. So one of the things that I also did is a custom GPT for business planning.
Yeah.
So, and then I just shared the custom GPT with them and it just went through, asked them all the questions and kind of planned out their year for them, which was kind of nice. I like that. I was able to create it. Just last night, I did a whole email campaign for them. So to add some more touches. And I mean, it took me an hour and a half. I had an idea, came up with it, and I just started playing with it and putting information in, and it came up with this great email campaign. So now at our meeting on Wednesday, I'll share this information with them. Makes me look like a smart rock star that I know what I'm doing as a leader, which I do. But
yeah, you're adding value to your agents. That's what agents want, right?
Yes, and just giving more value to them. One of the things, and I shared this with them at one point, I had a client and I couldn't get them to understand that they were looking at new construction. And one new construction was this price, one was a little bit higher. But because the one that was higher, the builder was offering a rate buy down, it was actually the better fit for them. And it had more upgrades, all that, even though the purchase price was higher. Now, this client of mine was a PhD. So she was very, very smart, but she just couldn't grasp the fact of paying more money for a house. It just went above her budget. So I just couldn't get it through. So I put all that information and I said, spit out in layman's terms how I can explain this so she can grasp it. And it did. It totally explained it perfect. It calculated her monthly payments based on the interest rate. And she was actually saving money over a period of 30 years if you keep your mortgage that long. And it explained it all. And it was so helpful because what I was saying wasn't getting through to her.
Yeah. And it helps you in negotiation, like making you look like an expert of your craft. And I think most agents that are in business that succeed are experts, but I think where they struggle sometimes is communication, of being articulate in your communication. And that's where a tool like AI can help you. The other one, I'm sure since you have the paid version, the voice mode, advanced voice mode of talking to it I talk to it all day.
Yeah.
Because
I do in the car.
Yeah. And you could explain that situation without having to type all that stuff in.
Yeah.
Because most humans are sometimes talk a lot more than type. So it gets it. I mean, so that's another way to kind of interact with ChatGPT advanced voice mode. And you need the paid plan, the plus plan for having the voice component to it.
And being in the car so much as we are as real estate agents, being able to do that is perfect. And then I use Plod. This is my new one. Love it. So I had since I talked to you last, I was showing lake properties the other day, and it's about an hour and a half away. So just to get through the mountains and stuff to the lakes. We do have some mountains in South Carolina. And I listen to podcasts a lot. So when I get to a podcast and I hear something, I got to remember to go back and get that and write that down. Well, now when I came to a part with a nugget that I wanted to take away, I just turned this on to listen to that nugget. And then I came home and had it redo it for me, just summarize it for me. I didn't have to record the whole podcast. I just recorded the nugget, and it kept my thoughts so I didn't forget to go back.
Yeah, 100%.
So,
I think AI recording services add a lot of value, but also if you're listening to this, make sure if you're recording a client or any public conversations, you have consent. But your personal thoughts, grabbing them, tools like Otter, I lean more towards Plot because of its functionality.
There was a new note taker one that just came out. I downloaded.
Yeah. So again, there's a lot of tools in this space, but you got to pick one that you feel works for you and your business. And I feel that device that you just shared does that. So we'll include the link in the show notes for stuff that we're talking about, so you can get it.
I think you have a coupon for that Plod too, don't you?
Yeah. So you can get $10 off since Plod reached out to us for it. So great. Anything else that is helping you with AI before we get to the final couple of questions I have for you?
Well, I mean, it's definitely making me more professional because it really structures my day.
Yeah.
And being authentic and being in front of the people is what you need. So the stuff that it's doing for me frees up my time to go and have client events. I've actually had it create a menu for me for a client event. I watched on TikTok the other day how you can tell it that you're going to go to Trader Joe's, you want to spend this much money and come up with these recipes. I want to eat high protein, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And it'll come up with a shopping list for you. Personally, I use it. My daughter lives in Ireland and we're going to visit. So I had it give me a little itinerary of what to do and places to see. So I just think in every aspect, it's going to work well. For a real estate agent, it's the time saver aspect is just unbelievable. And I've created template after template in there for my agents. And, it's email templates, and they just so high quality and just so professional. It just really just ups your game.
Yeah, for sure. And great point. I mean, it allows you to take stuff off your plate so you can focus on income producing activities, or IPAs. Okay. And we recently had Jimmy Mackin on our show podcast in January, and he talked about how when he sees something that inspires him from a marketing perspective, he just takes a picture of it, uploads it to ChatGPT so it can remember. And then over time, it has a lot of this memory. And when you ask it to create something, it'll create something inspirational beyond what you say that.
And I heard that one in the car. That's before I started using the Plot.
Well, when you listen to that episode, you will get that and you can plot it. So, all right. So let's get to the final couple of questions I have for you, Alesha. There's most of us have a podcast or a book, depending on how you consume information. You could share one or the other that has inspired you to do more than you do. So it kind of makes you think a little bit. Is there one podcast or book that has really shaped you more than others that agents can benefit from?
Well, you've already heard me talk about Jimmy Burgess. I love listening to him no matter what he's on. I love reading his articles in Inman, all that kind of stuff. He's one of my favorites to listen to. I'm always waiting for yours to come out every week. That's another one that I like listening to in the car. Glenda Baker.
Oh, yeah. Atlanta.
Yeah, in Atlanta. She's great. She just had a great one with the Hamptons of the South. And she talked to an agent down in, the Hamptons of the South is 30A area in Destin.
Oh, yeah.
He was wonderful. 32-year-old, just created a great business, and he's wonderful to listen to. Got a lot of insights from that. The book I'm reading this year, this is my goal this year, to read the Bible cover to cover. So I'm doing the Bible in 365 days. And actually tomorrow I am doing a course on a 12-week year, and I have that too, which is great. So I am not an avid reader. However, when I hear about a book that I want to read, that's the other thing that I do with ChatGPT is I say, can you summarize this book for me so I can see if I'm going to want to read it or not?
Yeah.
And again, saves me time.
Yeah, I read a recent book that I think, based on your leadership because you're leading a brokerage, this might be good for you, is AI Driven Leader by Jeff
Oh,
Wood.
didn't hear that.
I got the Audible version, but it's available on Amazon. It makes you really think about how you can embrace AI as a thought leadership, almost like a co-broker in charge. So
Yeah.
it can be almost like an AI agent that is Alesha number 2.
Yeah.
Right. So gives me a really good perspective on it. So final question. There's a lot of agents, mostly agents listen to our podcast. So if you were your younger self, what is the one piece of advice you'd give your younger self that agents can benefit from?
Well, I guess it would be make sure you're all in. If you're going to do something, make sure you're all in and make sure you can keep up with the changes. Change is good. Change is good. I don't want anybody to be afraid of change because, you got to embrace it and be good. And I'm 55 years old next month. So if I can change and adapt to all this AI stuff at this late in the game, anybody can. So just embrace change and adapt and shift the way you need to, and you're going to be successful. And just put your whole heart into it.
Yeah, great message. And sometimes agents have this fear of AI, meaning it's more like, oh, it's a technology I got to learn. Let me debunk that myth, because if you can text, you can use AI.
You can.
Okay, so yes, AI is technology, but you don't need to learn the technology. You just need to communicate with it, and that's the beauty of AI. So if Alesha can be an inspiration for you to embrace it and get started on your journey, I think she's done her job, which obviously she's amazing at. So Alesha,
I feel like God gave somebody the wisdom to create AI, so that's a good thing.
Yeah,
So don't be afraid.
Definitely some people in Silicon Valley that created it as well. So
but God gave them the wisdom to do it.
Yeah, wisdom of understanding for sure. So Alesha, thank you for your time. This has been fun, and I'm sure we'll talk soon.
All right, thank you so much.